Hello everybody, today we are going to explain the lecture of week 22, and this lecture contains two parts. The first is the grammar and the second is the writing. So let's start with part 1, grammar. In this grammar lesson we are going to be explaining the simple past tense, which is a very easy lesson. So I need you to concentrate and let's start. This is an overview of the lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to form a past simple tense, when to use a past simple tense, and how to form the negative and affirmative forms of the past simple tense. Let's start first with forming a past simple tense. First of all, let me tell you something very important, which is in English language, we have two types of verbs. We have regular verbs and irregular verbs. So, if we want to form the regular verbs into the past simple tense, we use ed. So we add ed to the verb in case the verb is a regular verb. If the verb is an irregular verb, these verbs have a unique past tense and they do not follow the rule of adding ed. So I bought a new t-shirt. Bought is the past form of the verb buy. So as you can see, we changed the verb completely, but without adding ed, because these verbs do not follow the rule. There is a list of irregular verbs which I'm going to send to you in order to memorize these verbs because they are very important. So the past simple tense is formed by adding ed to the regular verbs and by changing the verb when it's irregular based on the list of irregular verbs. What are the uses of the past simple tense? First of all, guys, the past simple tense is used to express completed actions in the past, actions that are already done and finished in the past, like he broke his tooth last week. So this action happened last week and it's ended, it's finished. Peter cooked dinner last night. The action of cooking that Peter did yesterday or last night is done. Okay, he finished cooking yesterday and it's done. So this is the first use of the past simple tense, completed actions in the past. The second use of the past simple tense is to express habits in the past. Things that you used to do in the past, like Peter played the piano when he was a child. So he used to do this when he was a child. So this is a habit. He studied Spanish when he was a student. So this also was a habit which was done in the past. Number 3 is very similar to number 1, but the difference is that in number 3 we have more than one action, and in the first use we have only one action. Series of completed actions in the past. So actions that are already done in the past, they are finished, but more than one action. Like he sat down, took out a notebook and a pen and started taking notes. So here we have 3 actions: sat down, took out, and started. The second example, he made breakfast, drove his son to school, and went to work. So we have more than one action. So these are the 3 uses of the past simple tense to express completed actions in the past, habits in the past, and series of completed actions in the past. Now we move to the spelling rules of the past simple tense. Let's first start with the words that have one syllable, consonant, vowel, consonant, like the word fit. Fit is a consonant, vowel, consonant verb, so we have to double the last consonant before adding ed. For words that have 2 syllables like refer and occur, if the last consonant is stressed, you have to double the last consonant, like refer. So I'm stressing on R. So that's why I double the R and then add ed. For verbs that have 2 syllables but the last consonant isn't stressed, you do not double the last consonant, you just add ed. For verbs that are vowel, vowel, consonant, like conceal or reveal or crawl, these verbs are just changed into the past by adding ed. For verbs that end with e, you just add d. For verbs that end with double e, you just add d. And of course, for the irregular verbs, they have to be studied since they do not follow any rule. Now we move to the affirmative, negative, and interrogative forms of the past simple. First of all, with verb to be and then with the action verbs. There's a difference here. Let me show you. This is very important, okay? They were friends. They weren't friends. Were they friends? This is the way I asked the question. There's a mistake here. This is wrong, okay? So were they friends? So here, I didn't add anything to the sentence. They were friends. They weren't friends. Were they friends? So where is the verb in this sentence? The verb in this sentence is were. It's a verb to be, but it's the main verb in the sentence. So when we have verb to be, this is the way we change the sentences into negative, interrogative, and affirmative. Now we move to the second type when we have an action verb in the sentence, like she worked yesterday. She worked yesterday. Where is the verb? The verb is work. When I change it into the negative form, I added didn't. Why do you think I did that? Because we do not have a helping verb. So when we have an action verb in the sentence, we have to add did in order to form the negative and the interrogative form of the sentence. Okay, this is a rule. So she didn't work yesterday. And of course, you start your question with did. Did she work yesterday? As you can see, work here, it came back to its base form because we have did. So when we have did, the verb takes its base form again. Let's practice. We have to change these verbs into the simple past. They watched TV last night. Last night is a time expression that shows that this action happened in the past. So they watched. Priscilla to her friends all day. So she talked to her friends all day. A terrible headache yesterday. Yesterday also shows that this action happened and ended in the past. So I had. Bob came home from school late. They arrived late and missed the bus. She studied hard and passed the exam. So here they are the answers. Watched, talked, had, came, arrived, missed, studied, and passed. Let's change these sentences into the negative and interrogative. He wrote an email to his boss. In the negative form, the verb here is an action verb. So in the negative form, he didn't write an email to his boss. And I start my question with did. So did he write an email to his boss? Grade 6 students won the basketball game. Grade 6 students didn't win. So I write win in its base form because we have did the basketball game. So did, I start my question with did the grade 6 students win? See? Back to its base form, the basketball game. Now we move to the second part of the lecture, which is the writing part, the narrative paragraph. First of all, let us define what is a narrative paragraph. A narrative paragraph is a story about your experience, either imaginary or real. So it can be out of your imagination or a real story that really happened with you. It can also tell a story of somebody's experience, not only about your own experience. A good narrative paragraph tells specific stories. So a narrative paragraph is a story. What are the components of a story? We took this in the reading lesson, Cow Music. Remember the story elements, the plot, the characters, the setting, and the descriptions. We talked about these. So, in a narrative paragraph, we have to follow a story map. The characters are the people who participated in the story. The setting is where did the story happen and when did the story take place. The problem, the major events, and the story outcome or the solution. Let's start with the parts of a narrative paragraph. A narrative paragraph has a beginning, a middle, and an end. In the beginning, you have to introduce and describe the people, place, and time of the story. You'll see how in the model now. In the middle, you have to describe the events involving your main characters. And in the end, you have to resolve the complication or the problem, end the story with a twist, leave the reader with a question, or remind the readers of the central message. Because remember, when you were explaining the Cow Music and the story map, story elements, we said that a narrative paragraph always has a certain message or a certain theme at the end of the story. Don't forget, In the narrative paragraph, you have to use the simple past always. The simple past is the lesson that I have just explained now, the grammar lesson. Describe events chronologically, it means in the correct time order. Don't use too much dialogues. Use sensory details when describing something: sight, sound, smell, taste, and hear. Let's now start with the modal. An exceptional fear. This is the title. Very good. So we have to start with the title. The part written in red is the beginning. Okay? I never thought I could do it, but I finally conquered my fear of public speaking. So the writer here, or the author, started directly with the problem that she was facing, which is fear of public speaking. My English teacher gave me the assignment to speak for 3 minutes in front of my class at the beginning of the semester, and I worried about it for 2 months. So she mentioned the setting. See, at the beginning of the semester, this is the time, and in class, this is the place. I have always been afraid of making a speech in public. So this is the problem. So till now, we stated the setting, the characters, the problem, and this is excellent. I wrote all of my ideas on note cards. I practiced my speech with my notes in front of a mirror, in front of my dog, and in front of my brother. Would I be able to make my speech in front of my class? Now we start with the second part, which is the green part, the middle, the events. How did the story develop? When the day of my speech came, I was ready. As I reached the podium, I looked at my audience and smiled. Then I looked down at my note cards. At that moment, this is the twist in the story, I realized that I had the wrong information. These were the notes for my biology test, not the information about my speech. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Suddenly, I began the speech. To my surprise, the words flowed out of my mouth. Here, the story started to become better, and the resolution started. 3 minutes later, it was over. Everyone applauded my speech that day, and I left the podium feeling like a winner. So as you can see here, there is a title, there is a setting, time and place, there is a problem, there are some events of how the story developed, and there is an ending of the story, and there is also a message or a theme which shows that a person should be strong and overcome his fears. Okay? She also described her feelings. She said, I was afraid. She said, I felt like a winner. I was happy. Everyone applauded, as if she's feeling proud of herself. This is everything. In the live sessions, of course, we are going to practice more. That's it. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.